Good. My first question is, what is your motivation for participating in this project?
I think I always look for creative events because what happens is that I work in an extremely corporate setting back home, and even on any scale, I would like to be involved in projects that kind of re-nurture me with inspiration specifically.
Yeah.
So that was it. Artner was also a main motivation. He's a friend of mine back from university.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, definitely seeing a new place. It just sounds like a great idea from all aspects.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned during the presentation on Monday that you wanted to rebrand the town's cultural heritage, like the herring.
Yeah.
Because one of your main goal was to appeal to a younger crowd.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on that?
What I noticed is that the older generations of the town of Siglufjordur, they have kind of a direct connection of pride, if we may say, of the herring history that they have here. It's either their mother or because they're I think the second or third generation down. But I think there's a fourth generation that is not very keen on the idea of celebrating something that once existed and doesn't exist anymore. Going into the museum, it was a bit heart-wrenching. I didn't think it was a nice experience at all, because there's a death of a glory, you see it there. And I just felt that the town is known for herring so much, and then they say, okay, there was a collapse of it, and then they were chopping it up for the performance, and and I was like, wow, I'm actually seeing the actual fish that made such a big hoo-ha back in the day. So that's why I always feel there should always be some awareness about reinstigating cultural relevance and interest in the younger generations, in order to keep a certain, not identity, but maybe a piece of history. So you kind of reshape it in order to kind of fit for them. That's it. That's the rebranding, I think, that I was talking about.
Yeah. I'm just going to carry on. How does it feel for you to work with people that come from a wide field of interdisciplinary practices, such as we have, photographers, a fashion designer, a mathematician, a filmmaker? How is that for you? Do you usually work with a wide field of this, or you just work with? No,
actually, yeah, definitely. I'm relatively used to it. Bearing in mind, when I was in university in London, I kind of went through the same thing, where you're just surrounded by like-minded creative people, not of the specific same discipline. But yet again, I think there was a letdown at one point, because I really imagined that people would give their input based on their skills or the discipline that they practice on daily basis. But I think what happened, there was collective escapology, so everyone was escaping from what they do and every day, and wanted to get out of their comfort zones. And we ended up in one comfort zone and another one. I find it fantastic, I think, because the creative dialogue shouldn't be about what can you do and what you can't and all of that. It's good, but I was hoping, for example, specifically for retail, I'm saying, I was hoping, for example, to have a bit more defined kind of roles when it comes to exactly to where you're coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, just going to carry on. Again, in your presentation on Monday night, it was one of the most interesting. You said that you wanted to give something back to the town.
Yeah. This thing was quite clear, actually. It wasn't me that said it. It was Artner and I, because what happened last year, I think Michael was there, that they weren't very clear about this thing specifically about giving something back to the town. Yet also we didn't want to feel compelled or like force an idea that has to give back to the town. But it kind of gave a good shape to ideas, I think, and people wanted to create stuff that are as relevant as possible for the town specifically. Some things, you know, they're all taking place here. Yeah. But I think that what we are doing is merely like how do you say it? It's like a pitch to think about maybe going into that direction, because we're not actually, you know, setting up the business and all of that. But we kind of, you know, trying to re-examine how we would bring back caring in a cooler way, as Yawn put it. Yeah.
Okay. The project evolves around social interaction and group participation. Where do you place the aesthetic dimension within this context? And I wrote here that my question here is that how you define aesthetics in terms of your own work as a graphic designer.
I tried to keep the aesthetics as relatively as the end product as much as possible, because I think it's very damaging to kind of think of aesthetics and execution at a very early stage. You should have possibly like a bigger idea that will, you know, it will seep through like executions and aesthetics beautifully, rather than, you know, okay, we want to do this and that and that and that. I didn't want to fall into that, but I think relatively I kind of did, because yet again I think what I also found as a graphic designer, that aesthetically there was, for example, I'm immensely interested in typography, and I found there was a lack of interest, like nobody was actually writing anything, except for possibly the wall mural, which I helped out on today. I supply them with the font and everything. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Does it?
You're an art director
Yeah.
for a larger advertising firm. Is this something you feel that this project, is this something that you can feel that you can use in your own practice? Like, do you have, what do you call it, a fine experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think I tried to like apply it at one point, where I'm like trying to create some structure, and you're asking if I'm taking the experience of Ratier back into my job.
Into your own work.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. But I think if anything, it doesn't do it directly. I think it just feeds Umar, and Umar goes into the company. It's not, I think it just helps me out. But all this collision of different ideas and brains and everything is definitely inspiring and good enough to see. It is eye-opening to a certain extent. Yeah, I'll definitely take some back. What exactly? I don't know. I have to go back and tell you.
I forgot. Is this your first?
This is my first
residency.
My first residency. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had a shorter one. You mean in general, like? In
general.
Yeah, I've had a shorter one in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Which lasted like 10 days, I think, which is relatively the same, I think. It was called All in One Box. It was also a workshop. But it was I think it was clear what we're going to do.
It was clear?
Yeah.
You don't feel it's clear here?
No, because, I mean, I do understand when you come to like a bunch of artists and you're trying to tell them what to do, they're not going to do it. But yet again, when you come to a bunch of artists and you don't tell them what to do, they're not going to do anything. I think what's going to happen is that Ratier is going to go into enhancement year after year. What they've learned last year, they're going to learn more from this year, and they're going to keep applying it until they find, you know, a proper model for creating structure, you know. And because what I found is that they were you know, they wanted to give freedom, but just again, they wanted to keep things, you know, at hand. But yeah, it's extremely vague, I think, and there's you know, things all over the place. I think there should be a bit more structure to it. Someone to put their foot down for the good of the project, not just for the case of bossing people around. I would probably do it for bossing people around. Do it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is
Oh, wow.
How do you see this project? Do you see it as an art project, or do you see it as a collaboration? Because the boys, they call it, what was it, international collaborative project. And how would you define it? If you
What stands out?
Yeah.
Art project or
collaboration?
the collaboration?
I think they have a point by saying collaborative. I know there's the hipster need of being like counterculture to everything that is, you know, set and standard. I mean, at the end of the day, it is art. But I think collaborative, it's not from a demeaning perspective. Don't get me wrong, but I think because I don't think the kind of the work takes enough simmering to be cooked into quite a meal that is, you know, that we should call art. So that's why I think it always gives you that rugged feeling of work in progress, and you know, they're always like ideas that, you know, could be developed, and they can be developed, and they can grow into something, and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, but I do, yeah, that's how I sold it to my parents. I told them it's an art project. So.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's duration.
Yeah.
The duration of this project, would that maybe help out if you like were expanding the span of time?
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
to let it boil and cook properly.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be extremely interesting if you actually kind of like give something for the people to come with an idea.
Okay.
Because you never know, they might, you know, bring something with them, and you should see how it's gonna go, how they're gonna have it. What happens is that we are extremely on tight schedule, but yet again we're not acknowledging it at all. There's a lot of lost time. There's a lot of meetings, which I don't think should be the case. I think it should be more about, you know, becoming the doers. So yeah, I think it's time. It's also, I think you should possibly give a bit of preparation for everyone. I mean, I think what's working out with you guys, that you knew that you were doing the documentation or the book. So when you came on a mission, which was gorgeous. So, and it's obviously working out. But for so many people, they just come, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then it stays for 3 days, even 4 days, until you kind of figure out exactly what's gonna happen. So time is definitely key, and you can win time not just by bringing them longer, but maybe giving them a heads up.
Yes. Yeah.
While everyone's back home, I think that's an interesting part.
But you also make me think just now of like the case of when you visit a new country or something.
Yeah.
When you enter a host's home.
Yeah.
Sometimes you bring a gift.
Yeah.
I think, especially in the case of you, I know the other participants that actually have a very different cultural background. It would be very interesting actually to bring something of your mindset.
Yeah.
Because in this town, the eye, the ear never sleeps. They all know what's going on.
Yeah.
So they will actually, I think they would know what you were bringing. And
Yeah.
I think, just now, it's a note maybe more than a question, but it's like.
Yeah, definitely.
That's actually also an interesting way of giving something to the town. That you bring in culture. And then they will, with their culture, develop stuff relating to the context. Yeah.
Because there's something that is fine. We need to respect the Icelandic culture and identity to the place. But yet again, you have to also see how you'd contribute from abroad. And it's not just about like the cliche matter of East meets West. It's not that.
No,
it's just it's just about and Morgan had a very interesting point, and it kind of like hit me in the face. And she was saying like when we do the recipes, for example, for the herring project, I think we should use non-Icelandic ingredients with the herring. And I'm like, why? And she's like, what's the point of international artists then? So I think that's an interesting one. But yet again, it's beneficial to see an out perspective. Like for an Arab, what does he see in this town?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting to see
Yeah.
as well. And that's why I think the whole point of international collaborations or like workshops, when you bring artists from overseas, is to kind of see their vision or let them bring something along with them.
Yeah, because we just had another interview where we actually ended up with being described what does Scandinavian mean. The subject, speaking of this, told us that she thought the residency was very Scandinavian, and yeah, maybe you can avoid that. Actually, letting people come with their culture, because then you mix it up, you blend the international qualities.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now it's actually quite a lot on the premises of what does belong here, and you know the friends of friends that are very close. And stuff.
Yeah. I think a very good model to look at is Mediamatic in Netherlands. I'm saying it because I relate to it, and they're basically a collective of Arab designers that they either reside there or they work there for quite some time. And what happens is that, I don't know if you know the store El Hima. I think Hima is like the kind of like the Tesco, if I may say, or there in Netherlands. And what they did is that they make them work on a project of adapting the Hima font into an Arabic one and creating all the products as like recreating the products as Arabic. And I thought that was interesting. Fine, it is something that I'm obsessed with. But if we take a step back, I think it's interesting because, as you said, it's kind of like the added value of bringing someone from abroad. I definitely agree with. I don't know if it was you that mentioned it. Someone mentioned it. That maybe they could look into how would other people lead on the project. For example, if they would give the lead to someone else rather than Ari and Artner, because they don't want to feed it the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, we spoke a bit as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would also be a very interesting part for people, like for guest editors, if we may say.
Yeah, or even like, I don't know what the position is described as precisely, but actually have an open call.
Yeah.
To like get an introduction to the structure and then lead it for
exactly.
next year.
Definitely.
Okay. Maybe we should.
Yes.
You gave so many advices just now, but.
Yeah, I don't know if we should just
ask her.
If you were in a position to advise or do something with the structure behind this project, what would you have liked to change? But now you talked about
I think naturally it happens.
Just cut that out.
Just cut it out.
I would cancel the whole project.
Yeah.
Just burn it down to pieces. What the hell? Yeah, exactly. Spend the money on something better.
Yeah.
We have the last one. What was that? Define.
If you would please give like just 3 words that come to your mind when thinking of this project. Being here, doing stuff, whatever.
It's a creative puzzle.
Creative puzzle, okay.
Why? I'm just not saying it to sound smart, because I think I get that image of like, it's like when you start seeing someone going to the puddle and they start, jumping in, oh my god, and they're getting filthy, and then someone else goes in and then all of us, and we'd all collectively get filthy and dirty, but I think it's an experience by its own right. I only have 1 word left.
Yeah, but you explained it quite well, so
yeah.
Perfect.
That's what I think it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank